Get free skins by participating in our daily giveaways and item drops. Play coin flip and double your skins. Battle with other players and win big jackpots. Get the most points in our leaderboard and win awesome prizes. Invite your friends and earn free coins. The best place to battle your Dota to skins. DotaToHunt.com.
Hey guys, Bowie here and we're back. My Christmas present to you is this neat little trick. Watch how FN looks for the perfect spot where you can get Roshan vision with the mango tree and also be harder for the enemy to take it out since they're not gonna know it's inside. Someone actually posted this on Reddit and I find it hilarious. Everyone was saying it was no big thing, but they didn't understand that the enemy cannot see the tree because Rosh blocks the vision with his body. This is a really stealthy tree, especially when you're on the Radiant side, so it's harder for Dire to get vision of that area. There's also a spot on the Dire side, but it's not nearly as good. I don't know, I thought this was really cool, and also I have some not safe for work footage here for the Dota 2's mud people. If you have kids in the room, I suggest telling them to leave the room right now. And oh man, this is Bryle's beautiful puck, farming some stacks. And oh, we feel like he will not make it, but he's good. And then he draws aggro. Ooh, is it me or summer's coming? Anyways, going back to the theme of the video, Puck. This hero is incredibly powerful at the moment, and you understand why as we go. He can be played in multiple positions, but we focus on the mid lane today. His skill build can vary quite a bit, but you almost always start with Orb level 1 because it helps getting the range creep without any chance of taking damage because you're going to be far away from the enemy. Against a Viper, for instance, at level 2, phase shift is much more necessary since he's incredibly annoying with his attacks and they're easy to dodge. And in this matchup, the second point of Orb is also needed because you want to be as far away from Viper as possible, and thus the extra damage is great so you never miss the range creep while you maybe harass him. Against Shadowfiend on the other hand, phase level 2 is not that great. His base damage sucks at this stage and the raise damage is kinda minimal. It's not that easy to dodge the raises anyways. And with the silence, you can pressure a Seth with your mobility and damage. In this game, he maxes silence at level 7. In general, maxing the silence is preferred because it allows you to wave clear whilst having the escape of Orb available, whereas when you max Orb, you have to constantly be worried about whether you need it to engage or disengage. That said, there are different matchups, and never be afraid to play with the skill points a little bit. Puck's playstyle did not change much from his old glory days. This hero is supposed to be played in a proactive manner. All of your cooldowns are short and you shove waves really fast, meaning you can be ready to fight at all times. His item build in general is supposed to be something like null, bottle, finish the second null, treads into blink dagger. The bottle before finishing the other null might sound like a minor thing, but it isn't. Puck is a thirsty hero mana-wise, and you're very mobile, so you should make sure to get as many runes as possible. With a ward, you can almost always secure any runes with this one tip. Wait for 58 seconds, orb towards the rune you have no vision of, while you walk to the other one. As the rune spawns, you decide whether to jaunt or not and obtain the rune for yourself. His first rotation happens with this 6-minute rune, and not necessarily with it, but because of it. Note that he had no vision of the ward because it just expired, so he makes sure to walk to the rune before the time. He loses creeps for this, but he understands how important it is not only to get the rune but deny it from the enemy mid. He also buys the ward for the 8-minute one, kills Tiny because of that rune. And now, since Tiny is forced to keep him mid, he knows he's free to rotate anywhere without Tiny being able to help. He makes sure to preemptively push mid as the rune is about to spawn, gets double damage, and he's ready to roll. Yeah, right-click Puck is cool and all, but the hero itself is really good right now, and you cannot AFK jungle for a Dasso and think you're going to own. Push waves, control runes, rotate, and you're gonna have a good time if you're at least vaguely familiar with the hero. Well, we were talking about mana, so let's watch how FN pushes the wave here. He rarely uses both Orb and Silence to push the wave at the same time because Disruptor and Treant do have ways to kill him when Orb is not ready, and you also don't want to burn all your mana because later you're not going to be able to gank and fight effectively. Obviously read every game accordingly, but also don't spend your level 2 Orb to push waves after you commit the Silence, when you can just right click. If you're not in a hurry for something, you don't have to use all your spells. In this game, because Timber crushes lane, he didn't have a ton of opportunities to rotate top because the wave was pushed so deep that it was not worth his time going there. This is one of the first fights that he participates. And watch how he uses the Orb at the end here. He uses the Roshan Pit Fog to not only damage and eventually kill Disruptor, but to maneuver around the fight so he's always available, ready to use spells if needed, whilst not dying and getting experience. Another thing you can learn here is how to dodge glimpse with phase shift. A lot of people think you can't do that, but glimpse works in a weird way. There are two possibilities. When you move too much, let's say you actually TP'd and you're going to be glimpsed to the other side of the map. Then you're going to have exactly 1.8 seconds until you're brought to that location again, and as long as you wait around a little bit for the phase shift, or you have more points of phase shift learned, you're going to be okay. On other cases, you move at a constant 600 speed, so make sure to pay attention where you're going and phase accordingly. Obviously, when you have level 4 phase shift, that doesn't matter at all, but it's nice to know exactly how to do it. But we do have to address why everyone's here. People want to watch Desolator Puck, and I'm here to explain a little bit about right-click Puck in general. It's all about his level 10 talent, the fact that you get damage at level 15, and the fact that you have the rapid coil at 25. It sounds weird, but it's amazing. In the 2 games we talked about until now, Puck was against Disruptor, so having Blink Dagger before any damage items is good because it allows him to handle that hero, and if you don't handle the Disruptor, he's always gonna crush you. Obviously, it's a player preference thing, and also about reading the flow of each game. We'll discuss when Deso is better than Maelstrom with examples, but just so I can make a better argument for this build, watch Bryle farming. Because you can clear creeps in AoE with haste shift, you can now use only one spell for each wave of creeps or jungle camp. Not only farming faster, but using less mana, meaning you can play just as active whilst accelerating more. By getting damage items, you get into the damage threshold that allows you to 1 in Rift plus phase shift 1 wave instantly, and that's when you accelerate the fastest. With that out of the way, let's watch Bryle playing the Desolator playstyle. Well, I don't want to crush any expectations here, but this is a fairly common possibility of how Deso Puck can look like in some games, and also why most players go for at least one intermediary item before it. When you have to use Orb to initiate while buying an item that gives no stats or escapes, you risk this happening. So yeah, I don't want to show only the good footage and lie to you. Rush Deso can look like this, and also can work, but don't get too cocky. Analyze how much burst damage they have, how much lockdown. That said, it can also look like this. Bryle uses the cast point of Shaker to fully maximize his damage and time, and gets a solo kill just like that. The fact that you can get the rapid fire coil at level 25 also makes this build incredibly better at scaling in the late game. Physical damage always scales better than magical, and in Puck's case, since phase shift doesn't usually deal damage, you're basically getting a source of damage your hero never had that also hits infinite targets around you. On top of all that, Puck always sucked at tower sieging. This build doesn't compromise your wave clear, but now your split push actually hurts buildings quite a bit. When you win a fight, you can actually take tier 3, maybe force buybacks for barracks, whereas if only Puck and another hero survived, you were not going to deal a lot of damage to any buildings. It is honestly a no-brainer, and I would say that magic damage Puck is now the situational one, maybe viable in 30% of the games, but I'm talking out of my ass, and I'm sure this style of Puck will be nerfed a little bit, so this video might not age as well as I want. Anyways, use your brain. In that game, Bryle goes back for the item that should probably be his first item, use Scepter. The silence and the burst damage of Tiny can be avoided with it, but he played the early game so well that those deaths didn't really set him back that much. In that Viper game we talked about, FN starts with Blink Dagger and gets Maelstrom instead of Deso. It's pretty straightforward, having the lightning procs allows him to deal with the illusions much better. In terms of wave clear, Deso and Maelstrom are almost equivalent, so you can still farm really fast while you fight without being low on mana. Deso is also not your only choice of right-click item besides maybe Maelstrom. In this game, he's against a Wind Ranger and a PL with evasion talent that might get Butterfly at some point. PL also has a ton of armor anyways, and the proc from MKB is going to deal more damage overall to the illusions. One interesting thing to mention in this mage game is that he goes for a 1, whereas almost every Puck we saw skips it. The reason for it is simple. Because you go right-click Puck, you rarely lack mana as long as you get runes and clarities, but against Nyx, Invoker, mana drain in general, consider having one, the burst of HP and mana can be really good against some scenario. Another item that is usually quite rare on any hero can be good versus the likes of Legion Commander, Lion, etc. We can see C2I and SCCC going for it in games against Legion. Now that you use phase shift in a much more liberal manner, and use Scepter is not that common of an item for you anymore, you can be vulnerable to things like Duo, and Linken's is the only option you have in the mid game since usually you're not going to stack status resistance on a Puck, at least not that early. In this other game, we have Ryoya playing Puck versus the Silencer. Once again, note the lack of one, and the fact that he has a Blightstone, but he gets you Scepter early. Against a hero early on, your only way to play the game is getting one, but I'm a big fan of the Blightstone to amplify his right-click damage after he gets the level 10 talent. Okay guys, thank you a lot for your support in the last year. I know I went away for a couple of days, but the rest was needed, and you have no idea what's about to drop early in the channel. One of the greatest projects I have ever attempted, and I think, and probably the best video about mid lane ever created. I think you guys are gonna love it. Thank you a bunch for watching. It's been a pleasure.